Okay.
Sorry, Eric, just give me 1 minute.
Mm-hmm. Just tell me.
Yep. Okay, looks like we are on. Appreciate everybody's wait.
Welcome, everyone. We are here on Wednesday, March 15th, 2023 for the Board of Trustees zoning hearing. I call this meeting to order. Ms. Bonnie, can you please call roll?
Trustee Faust?
Here.
Trustee Knapp? Here. Trustee Grumbles?
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are opening the hearing for ZON, what's the number? ZON-22-10 ALDEIA, single family planned residential district. Okay, we have a statement that our legal counsel is going to read for us, just so to kind of set the ground rules. We haven't done this before, as far as setting the ground rules, so everybody understands about this type of district.
Thank you, Trustee Faust. My name's Julie Donnan. I'm an attorney with the office Burgess Johnson & Griggs. Our office represents the township in a variety of things, but we are also involved in zoning and land use. The board asked me to give the meeting a bit of information about planned districts and that type of thing, as well as some overall information on the process and procedure and that type of thing, which I will read now. Planned districts, they're special districts that contain zoning standards unique to that particular development. In Ohio, townships are permitted to establish these planned districts, which are also known as planned unit developments or PUDs, under section 519.021 of the revised code. Often, a developer or property owner will work with the local government in order to develop the zoning standards that will apply to the particular district and property. Because the zoning standards are tailored to that specific property, planned districts can offer a degree of flexibility that allows for creativity in the land planning, site design, and protection of environmentally sensitive lands that otherwise are not possible with traditional straight districts. However, applications in planned districts in Orange Township are required to follow the traditional zoning process, wherein a property owner applies to the township to change the property zoning to a planned district. The plan and standards are reviewed first by Delaware County Regional Planning, which issues a recommendation as to whether to approve or deny the application. The application then proceeds to the Township Zoning Commission, which holds a public hearing, then issues its recommendation as to whether to approve with modification, or deny the application. That recommendation is then forwarded to the trustees. By statute, the Board of Trustees has three options as to how to ultimately make the decision regarding the application. Those three options are for the trustees to approve with modification, or deny the Zoning Commission's recommendation for the development.
Okay, thank you. So we have already closed public comment at the last hearing. However, if there's anybody that has anything new that you would like to share that hasn't already been shared, we will do 3 minutes for that, and we'll have.
Are we going to have the applicant give their presentation first?
It's up to you guys.
I think if they give their presentation, that way we know what we're discussing. Is that okay?
Yes. Sorry. Thank you.
Would you guys like to give a presentation to share the changes and things?
Just give me a moment. I'm trying to find where the presentation. I'll need a minute. I'm sorry.
On the Dropbox in the back.
Is it still on there?
I saw it. Yeah. I don't know where I saw it.
I thought I saw it too.
Now that I say that, I just see the staff report. I'm happy to read that.
I have it. I just have to upload it to our display. Appreciate everyone's patience. Having multiple meetings back to back is always a technical challenge. All right, sorry about that.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for hearing us again tonight, or today, tonight, whatever you want to define 514 as. So, so just a intro. We left the last trustees meeting a month ago after several meetings, but specifically in that meeting, hours of public testimony, as well as trustee commentary. That ultimately we got to a place at the end of that meeting where we asked for kind of clear direction of what we needed to do to get support for the rezoning. And I think we kind of battered around one specific thing that we needed to do to secure that. And so tonight we're going to present plans that responded specifically to that request. We'll talk about some of the things that did to the site plan to give you some more specifics about that. But ultimately, we feel like we had some pretty clear direction at the last meeting, and we feel like we've met that. So if we go to the next slide, Ms. Bonnie. So this is the.
Oh boy.
This is not my slide.
You don't want to talk about pool again?
You're building a
Yeah.
pool? That's not...
Okay, I have to go down.
There we go. So this is the previous site plan that was presented before, and just to reiterate for folks, if you weren't there, that the specific direction that was discussed was to increase the setback of this of the project from Green Meadows, or the future Green Meadows Drive, to provide for additional screening of the development from the historic Lewis Center Village to the east. And so there's a couple of ideas about how that would work out. And if we go to the next slide, just pretty clearly what we've done is established what was requested of us of a 100-foot setback off of the right-of-way, where we're providing for a tree preservation area in that space, utilizing the existing vegetation that is there to screen our development from really the road. And so if you look at this site plan, you can actually see that pretty much on all sides it's insulated and views are protected to the exterior with trees with buffers to the south, to the north, to the east, and to the west. And so overall, the general orientation, the general development extents of the site plan did not change. So we were actually able even to increase the amount of open space in the project from 16 to 17 acres. And ultimately, we feel like we've, again, squarely responded to the request of us to provide for a roughly 100-foot setback, where we discussed if need be doing a berm with landscaping. So if we just dive into a couple of things here, I want to highlight, because there's members of the public here that asked specifically about things. You can stay up on that slide. Sorry, Michelle. The development extends to the west. So for the Wenzels, we have not pushed our development materially further to the west, protecting and insulating from their property. For Mr. Trackroff to the south, we've not decreased that buffer yard. We still have the same buffer that was there previously. And so the setback that we added changed a few things. Obviously, you can see on the site plan that the main common area was modified and adjusted to accommodate this, and actually ends up working out really well. We were able to still maintain those same types of amenities with playground and pavilion, but we were able to increase the amount of walking trails throughout the property. If you go to the next slide, it just is going to provide a blow up, though it may be difficult to see on the screen, of what that amenity area is, and we can go back to this if requested by the trustees or the public. So if we go to the next slide, this just represents that we've tweaked a little bit of the dog park and maintenance building. They're still generally in the they are in the southwest corner of the property. And again, we're happy to speak specifically about those two items if requested. The next slide is what I really want to focus on, just emphasizing the amount of preserved open space or existing open space and vegetation that we're preserving, that the green shaded areas represent the foliage that we're going to be maintaining. Again, trying to preserve and maintain what's there today to the best degree that we can. The realities of cluster style development is that it allows you to do that. So the divergences that we're requesting for any units per given acre or things like that, this is getting an immense amount of open space preserved is what those divergences allow for. So with that, we're just presenting the facts here. So we've not increased density per your request. The density remains the exact same as what was presented before. In fact, the units on any given acre have actually decreased slightly, and the open space has increased. So that's the end of our presentation, and we just ask that you remember the kind of clear mandate that we were given, and that I feel like we've met that. We're here to answer any questions you may have, though.
I do have one. Was the development pushed any closer to Lewis Center Road? The homes? Compared to the prior iteration?
No, if they were, it would be by mere feet, nothing substantially.
Okay.
In fact, you could probably say we actually even pulled them further to the south.
Okay, I think that's the only question I have right now.
Can I just make a comment? I know we have another, just depending on who's here for certain hearings. I know we have another hearing at 5:30 regarding an overlay application for Parkway Drive. If you're here for that, try to flag me or my staff, Valerie Bunting, as that's going to be a fairly quick meeting, as we need to table that. So I just didn't want to waste anybody's time for that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just
No, thank you. Yeah, that's good. We are going to table that. Okay. Now, do you want to go to the public comment?
Okay, so like I said, we had closed public comment the last meeting, but if anybody has anything new they needed to add, we will set the timer for 3 minutes. To do that, please state your name, address, and then.
And are we
3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah.
3 minutes,
We're
okay.
standing hard to the 3 minutes.
Right, Michelle's gonna set her timer off, so we'll all know when that 3 minutes is, and we will not respond or interrupt your 3 minutes.
Sorry,
Sorry, take your time.
I want to make sure.
If I state my name now, does it count my 3 minutes?
No, you're good.
My name is Bud Abraham at 6205 Stormhaven Court, Lewis Center. Been speaking about the infrastructure on this development in the Lewis Center and Green Meadows area, the number of times that this development's come in. And again, I have no qualms on this development. My qualm has been on the infrastructure. This is the 2022 construction guide provided the Delaware County Engineer's Office. He has not published the 2023 construction guide as of yet. Project number 11, Green Meadows Drive, Home Road to Lewis Center, August to November 2022. Apparently that didn't get done. I do not see a 2023 project schedule. When is that road going to get done? I'm asking you as representatives of the constituents to find out definitively if that's going to get done. Otherwise, we've got a traffic mess there. Number 2, the bridge over Home Road was started in 2010, finished approximately 2011. And according to Mr. Bauserman, it is really important that we're able to make improvements like this that are a benefit to the public in regards to the bridge over Home Road. Where's the bridge over Lewis Center? That would definitely help with getting traffic flowing on Lewis Center Road. Bridge over the railroad tracks from Home Road crossing onto connecting into Lewis Center. Now we've got an athletic field. We've got a huge development with Evans Farm coming in here. This area is growing. We need some relief on that railroad. Not later, not 10 years from Home Road construction, but like now. We're tired of waiting. How much time do I have? But anyway, that's what I'm trying to say here. Guys, again, no qualms on the development. We need it. We've got a lot of things coming in here from a industry perspective. But we definitely need the infrastructure understood and in place. Otherwise, you're impacting people that have lived here, not just 5 years, 1 year, 5 years, 20 years and above. That's my piece. Thank you.
And I do want to respond to that, the county engineer did tell us that what did they say? They're planning to do the green.
I just messaged. I'm messaging the engineer now.
So I know that Green Meadows
The Green
will
Meadows,
be
yeah.
done. It was originally supposed to be done here this year through this fall, but then that got bumped again. So Green Meadows at this point is spring of 24.
Yeah, and they're pretty committed. The thing, I think they're working with some of the residents on the buffer and some other issues. So there was a delay, but I think that's a pretty strong commitment. And then regarding the bridge over Lewis Center, I think you said 2010 to 2011, but it was 2020 to 2021, right?
It's overdue.
Yeah, it is overdue. However,
Both
so
of those are overdue.
yeah, they are, but that is a county road, and we have zero control over that. They were supposed to have it done, and honestly, I didn't think it was going to be done in time, and then they pushed it back. So I would contact the county engineers. It's very frustrating, but
Well, you are our representatives.
Yeah.
You need to start talking to the engineer and saying, we got this development coming in and no infrastructure to support it.
I know we've done that, but they can only move as fast as they can. But they are, what is it, 2024?
So meanwhile, you're gonna put a size 10 foot in a size 5 shoe.
So if this development were to be approved, the road would be done about the same time as the development would be done.
It's not on there's no construction plan that says that. All you've got is texting.
All right,
and
sir,
voicemail.
can you please not yell? He did commit to that. They committed to it very strongly. Wasn't he at the meeting, I think?
Yeah.
And I don't, it's not on,
It's their development guide. It's the PowerPoint that feeds into their development guide.
yeah, but
They go through every single project in every community, not just ours, countywide. And they did publish. That's online as well.
is it, I actually looked for it and I could not find it,
It's
so.
not there.
It's not, and I had
And it's
to,
not there. The 2022 guide is the only one that's up there.
No, not the guide. The PowerPoint presentation.
They gave us.
oh, the presentation is on, okay.
Yeah.
Is it?
And we have a copy of it too. When Michelle's back, I can have her pull it up.
Yeah, they did present it here, and then I had to actually ask the county engineer for the plans, that they're completing the plan, so at a
So
minimum, they should start construction.
So
By the
the-
time they start construction, the
I
Green
got it
Meadows.
right here. I just got. This is a public record, by the way. Fall of 23, Green Meadows starts, and it's completed summer of 24.
And they were really holding strong, so that's about the time to develop. Otherwise, I would not be as in favor of it, because that we need that road to take traffic off, and it's an extremely important part of this. Is there any other?
And
public comment?
I did want to respond to the overpass. That's something that I've repeatedly asked. When I was still the chair, I had engineer's office come 2 times, and Trustee Faust had him come again. And that's something I repeatedly said. It keeps getting pushed back, and it's not the township. We are advocating for it. It has to do with capacity and on their end, but I think politically as well. So I've talked to the commissioners. I've talked to them. That's what the extent. I can't force them to do anything. I have made my opinion as clear as I can on this project and others, and that's part of it. The engineer's office understands my concern as a board member, and I think the other board members as well. They're very clear on that. I've gone to their office repeatedly to sit down and talk through it. what can we do to expedite that? The big thing right now that we're trying to do is create capital. So if the regular board meeting that we just had was finalizing an influx in infrastructure capital. And the reason that that's critical is that we can then take the control of that development into our own hands, right? So if we have the money and we have our director of operations, correct me if I'm wrong here, my understanding is we consult with the county engineer statutorily. That's not required that we rely upon them for township roads and things like that, as long as what we're doing complies. The problem that we have is where county roads intersect and state roads intersect, like 23. We can control the intersection up to the intersection, but to your point, and you're spot on, our job is to advocate and press those agencies and try and politic that way. We got into that with the rails as well, and where we stood our ground with them to kind of bring them to the table. And it worked. We've had the first time we ever had a conversation with the railroad, and Trustee Knapp took care of that, ever. It's not lost on us, and we are advocating and doing what we can there. And I totally understand the size 10 and to a 5 shoe. I understand that. I talked to you at your house about it years ago 4 years ago when I campaigned, and that's how I remembered your court. So I get it. It's impacted everybody sitting at the table and the whole community. And I think everyone takes a different response to it. People are fed up, though. You're right. Not just you.
Yeah, it's aggravating. Especially when we approved the apartments and all the other stuff with the promise that it was going to be completed by 2022.
Why I wouldn't pass zoning on 23 unless there was a cap on apartments, that kind of thing, because it's got to be balanced. There's got to be some responsible development. And with that said, making clear that there's a massive housing shortage right now in the state. And we are getting pressure from at the state level, county level, everywhere. There's just not enough. You can see the real estate market right now is evident of that. So it's trying to balance all of that and do the best that you can. But that's the update I have on Green Meadows. It's on record, and
I can't find it on their website, and I'm on there right now.
I've got your contact info. I'm going to get the presentation and figure out what they can do to document it, and we'll put it on the Facebook page.
Yeah, my address is up on the sign sheet.
When
It was on our website at some point.
They
so
should put it on their website.
That's
I don't
what I'm
know why
saying.
it's not
We
on
can-
there.
We can get it and put it on ours.
The
Yeah, but-
presentation is on our website somewhere. I just don't.
Yeah, but it's not under the list of projects. Like, it's not on the county engineer's
Oh.
website.
They have planned projects on their website for every year, and they just doesn't sound like they've updated it on their website. What I'm saying is the presentation, when we
yeah, I
talk
know.
about that,
Right.
I want to make sure that there's some formality that's holding them accountable with residents, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, okay, thanks, Brian. Anybody else? Any other residents?
At the time.
Oh, she's got a thing over there. I got a couple of things that I gave. Kind of help, these were kind of missing in the
He's gonna give his name.
application. I wanted you guys to be able to look at different view of this. Where in the packages I looked at.
Can you state your name?
I am going to do that right now. And I'm going to try to read fast from my notes so that I can do this. Good afternoon. My name is John Oreskovich. I live on Ketch Street. The shore is directly off of South Old State Road, which, as many of you know, is already a traffic disaster, some of which caused by development outside our own purview, such as other communities north of Orange Township, but many of which are self-inflicted. And that's the case here. It's nearly impossible to safely exit our development onto Lewis Center Road or South Old State Road at all during busy hours and the weekends. Just wait, as Bud said, till the next communities come here. It's not why I'm here, though. I just want, first of all, hope that you guys realize that every decision impacts not just the immediate area around here, but affects the entire community. This will affect us in the shores, miles away, as will everything else you guys do. But I'm here to talk about this immediate area. And with that regard, I'm a little frustrated. This is the third time I've had the opportunity of speaking against the approval of this zoning application. And some strange reason, I don't think it's going to be the last. I think we're going to keep coming back and back and back and back. But let's recognize the truth here. there's no hurry. There's not even a road in yet, and we know that road's not going to be in for a couple of years. So even if we table this, we're going to come back again, and that'll be my fourth time, and come after that, it'll be my fifth time, and et cetera, et cetera. And my time's valuable just like yours is, okay? But rather, I want to do something as I want to reflect upon real quick upon something I want to concede from the last couple of meetings I've attended. An argument that's very true, and that's that our zoning code does not cover this type of development. It does not really fall into the cluster homes as they propose within the single-family plan. In fact, it really more closely resembles multifamily. So with the exception of the adjoining wall, this almost entirely fits under a multifamily zoning. And so in that regard, I absolutely support the very astute and wise people of the Zoning Commission who said this should be a multifamily development plan, and that's why they suggested denial, is what I was told at the last meeting. Multifamily provides for a maximum of 8 dwelling units per acre and maximum density of 4. That's exactly where we're at. And, you know, what's even more interesting, and I just discovered this today as a side note, is if you look at the, I think you call them the staff report, and our attorney graciously pointed out how important it is for the Delaware County Regional Planning Commission to be the first people to look at this. I'd like to draw your attention to this comment number, to the initial comment, comment number 1, which says, staff recommends reducing the size of frontage lots and applying allowable 4 acres per lot. I said 4, why that? It's because the comment right on top of that, and it says very, very specifically in this, at least in these notes, Delaware County Planning Commission recommends conditional approval requests by Black Opal Properties from FR1 to MFPRD. So apparently they reviewed this entire application as a multifamily planned residential district and not as a single family planned residential district. So right off the bat, that is reason to send this out and send it back. It's not even, it doesn't even follow the Delaware County Regional Planning Commission.
All right. Well, thank you. We're moving on to the next comment. We have 3 minutes. Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
Wow.
So we're trying, because we've opened up public comments so many times for this application, we're trying to restrict it to the 3-minute rule.
Yeah, we actually closed it last time, but we're giving people extra time.
I see. So they can keep changing things and coming back, and we can't comment upon anything.
We'll open it if they change things.
Yeah, and I think
It is changed. I mean, the whole development's turned. I mean, this is a complete new development. This is not what was submitted in November, and holding us to requirements for a November submittal that has changed 3 times. I mean, that is a violation, I think, about my rights. Again, I said that last time, and I'll say it for public record again. My rights as a citizen to provide comment on this plan
Mr. Rest,
as
your
it's
3
shown.
minutes are over. Will you please
On
sit
this
down?
plan as it's shown
You have
has
3
been
minutes. Will you
refuted.
please sit down.
Okay.
Your 3 minutes is up, and
I
we've
just
given
want to
you
make
4
sure those at
minutes
home
now.
understand that I'm being asked to shut up.
Because we set the limit. You knew it was
It's
3 minutes
not the
last
plan
time.
that was submitted in November that I
Yes,
could have
we
commented
understand
on.
that. Thank you.
It's not the plan in December I could have commented on. Not the plan in January.
You got 10 minutes last time.
Different plan.
Okay, sir. Do you have your?
I have it, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. All right.
Chris Shackroff, 90 Highland Terrace, Worthington, Ohio. We own the 25 acres south of the property. I want to make sure I'm clear on a couple things. Our lot line, the setback will be 35 feet, not 30.
35.
Nothing, no funny business with
No
it?
funny business.
Okay. So
You want to gavel that?
that's great.
Can you guys take your conversation outside so we can hear him? Thank you.
I've been working with the engineering department in the county since April of 20 on this road, Green Meadows. So I'm kind of familiar with it. I've got a plan here that shows the right of way, and it shows something that is kind of interesting. It shows, have you all seen this?
Is that the engineering plans for the Green Meadows?
You might want to see this. There's a catch. Stormwater runoff. Right in here. This is property. Basically where this
At southeast.
On the north side. Now, if this is going to happen, he's controlling this, then there won't be no trees there. No trees there. Will also be no driveway.
Can I see that?
Possible.
We'll respond in his 3 minutes, Rep.
So their plan shows they moved that extensions north, which may be an agreeable with the county. I don't know, but I just think, again, it's kind of the cart before the horse here because the road's not there, and they also have restrictions on how far back the driveway can be from a major intersection, and there's all kinds of calculations. So what you're seeing there, I just want to make sure the county's agreed to it, and I don't know that they have. It's the pond or the road entry point there. And even the second road, because you have to have so many feet between entry points. You can't just put a bunch of entrances off Green Meadows into a property. There are restrictions on that. So that's all I had to say.
Thanks.
You're gonna have to document that.
Yeah, you can have to get it later.
Has the county approved of those entrances on Green Meadows Drive?
That shows the size. This is not. I did that.
What did you say about that? You said that it's not.
That's a retention pond?
If I may respond.
Yeah, why don't you let-
So Mr. Jackroff is correct that those were the plans that have been created, and that was prior to us having development control of the parcel. And so we've been in constant communication with the Delaware County Engineer Rob Riley specifically about this development, and we're going to accommodate the stormwater discharge that was planned for that basin on that plan within the basin that's on the northeast corner of the property. And so obviously the plans have not been updated to reflect that because this plan is in process, but that you can text Rob right now and he would tell you the exact same thing about this. We just had a call on the project last week. And on the entrances, the distances, that's also been accepted by them. Obviously, we have to go through final engineering approvals, but he has reviewed them already.
Thank you.
My name's Charlie Benham, and I live in 2 acres, kind of right in the middle of this thing on Lewis Center Road. And my concern is my property's right in the middle. This thing goes through, I'm going to be living in a rental community, I guess. I mean, I'm right in the middle of it. When I bought my house, it certainly wasn't a rental community that I thought I was buying into. And at one time, Lisa, at the last meeting, you said, if not this, then what? I would say maybe a nice single family owner-occupied, where I could live in owner-occupied development instead of in their rental community, which is not what I thought I was getting into when I purchased it. So the construction, I don't know how they plan on getting back in there with the roads. Green Meadows is not built yet, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't really want to live in that rental community.
Will you be accessing for construction traffic? I'm sorry, from Green Meadows Drive? Right.
You're not gonna come through Lewis Center in the 3 lots.
No way.
Just the terrain.
Yeah, no shot.
You have any other comments?
Hello, Nick McCoy, 1201 Franklin. I've talked every time we've had something on this, been at every meeting. Thank you. I approve. They've gone above and beyond of what's been asked of them when they could have lawyered up and pushed the issue. But they've accommodated requests, setbacks, trees, and to go back to this fine lady's original presentation on this way back to the zoning board, where she used the term urbanization and making an urban feel. And I argued back with it's a rural community, or always has been anyways. This is more rural than what you guys started out with, and I appreciate that. So I would encourage you to approve this. Thank you.
Richard Ball, 1210 Low Center Road. I'd like to know what kind of trees you're going to have for blocking along Green Meadows Drive.
What's there today?
Pardon?
What's there today? We're preserving the existing trees that are there today.
I thought you were putting blocking all along in front of the community.
We are preserving the vegetation and trees that are there today. So there'll be the mature trees that are
100 feet, right? 100 feet. Yeah, that was the old plan. They were going to take everything down, and then we asked them to put more buffers.
Yeah.
So it's 100 feet.
Well, I figured they'd plant new trees block along those. Most of those ones along the road there are just skanky shrubs and scrubs. They're not what's called real trees.
Oh,
Some
I
of them
see.
are, but a lot of them are just, scrubs.
Do you plan to plant any additional trees, or what's your assessment of that?
Well, yeah. So I can speak a couple different. We will supplement with landscaping for one. We want it to look nice too. It's our front door, right? But we're thankful that it actually worked out really well. That you come off of Green Meadows or the proposed right of way, it's right around that 125-foot line, where the mature trees start to drop off 100 to 125 feet. So that is where actual trees are. It is crap scrub to the west of that, but in this specific zone we're preserving, there are mature trees.
Let me ask you this. Where's the sewer line coming in?
From the south.
Pardon?
From the south.
From the south. Well, they haven't brought a road in yet, and it's going to be a while. So how are you going to start construction without sewers and a road?
Yeah, so we're obviously acutely concerned about the road. The project does not work if the road does not go in. So
I know you said you was going to you wanted to start in the fall this year.
we do want to.
Apparently the road's not good.
Yeah, so they're starting on the first portion of the road south off of Home Road this spring, and then they're going to recommence work on the north.
What do you mean next year?
This fall or this spring. Right now, they're going to serve the Pulte development immediately this spring, and then they're going to finish the second half of that. As the plan is to do that starting in the fall and be wrapped up by spring of 24.
Anyway, okay. Let's see. Is there going to be a planned red light for getting in and out of there or not?
There's no plan for that now.
Okay.
A planned what?
Street lights?
A planned red light?
A stoplight.
Right.
I hope not, but And let's see. Oh, my other opinion is like the other gentleman said. There's too many apartments in Lewis Center. I don't know. Does Orange Township have to be a community of apartments and people in and out all the time? And you see what's happening in Columbus. The farther you go from 161, it's just apartments after apartments. And I bet you 75% of crime comes from apartments. And most emergency runs run to apartments. So I think Orange Township ought to think about going like maybe two houses per acre from now on and forget all this cluster house built. People around Lewis Center and the area don't like cluster houses. We got cluster apartments across the road there on Lewis Center Road. It's just too much. Too many people. Yeah, I guess that's about all I got. I was interested in which way them sewers are going. Am I going to have to tap in? Is what I'm across the street. Almost you guys.
The county, if you do have access to sewer, if you're or sanitary sewer, if your septic system does fail, the county probably would require you to tap into it, but not until that point.
Well, they said they're not going to bring sewers into the old village.
Okay.
We're in the old village.
Okay.
Unless
Right.
if you have access and there's a failure, that's when they require the like the
Yeah.
upgrade, right?
Well, it wouldn't be a failure because I keep it repaired. I certainly hope.
That's a big
Thanks, son.
incentive.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Doug Wenzel, 620 Lewis Center Road. The same question about that you moved it back and are going to count on the existing trees as part of the scape that was mentioned at last meeting. And you also at some meeting talked about taking out all that honeysuckle and the scrub brush. But there aren't a lot of savable trees in that zone there. In the drawing up there, it almost looks like the right of way has tree plantings from the roadway. I can't guess that the county's going to do that, but it's possible. And just as note, a lot of those trees aren't worth saving, but there are some. They're just few and far between. That's all.
Is that an actual aerial photo of the trees? So there are some bigger ones there, but a lot of scrub.
And it's tough too because they've intermingled with the plans, the plans they have, the landscape plan. So you can see the circles, dispersed throughout that are kind of intermixed in some of the existing vegetation. The one thing that always resonates with me too is when you look at the companies that come in to present these applications, there's a company culture or product or market. It's no different than going to buy a pair of shoes or anything else. It's product, right? And so there's brand management with that. And when you look at corporations and entities and how they manage their brand, that's something I always research very methodically when an application comes in, especially for rental, because you're relying on brand management to continue to keep up with a neighborhood that is potentially a part of the community. There are brands that I'm not interested in. Frankly, it's in Ohio, and some that have existing areas in Lewis Center that are not. They were previously approved and have built recently in some cases, but I would not be open to discussion. There's others that I think do a much better job, and if the requirement for different types of housing is rapidly changing in our country, and the politics for that are beyond the purview of a township trustee. And you look at what's happening right now with the housing shortages and things of that nature. My time on our terms are 4 years. I'm dealing with fallout and repercussions I have no part of. So I have to try and do the best I can with the time I'm here. And trying to balance all of that, right? And I've researched this brand, and I think they're very good at brand management. If you look at their website, the markets, the people they hire are very qualified. Their portfolio is they're not flipping. They're not going in and buying and flipping. So you have that. You have the flippers that are, we want to be a part of your community. They build it, and then the highest bidder comes in and gets it, and they make 20% on their investment and move on to the next, right? The product is a higher end product. Their rent is higher than 90% of the mortgages in the town. Something of that nature right now. I mean, because there's not been the churn, right? So they're bringing their brand in, and if you want to be a part of that, it's going to cost a lot of money. It's an investment into an experience that they're selling. It's not just a place. There's trails, playgrounds, a higher living standard, good schools, that kind of thing. That's their investment. So it's counterintuitive to think they're going to come in and want to deteriorate that, because then they lose rent revenue, right? So it's something that I had a light bulb when talking to another who I view as a good developer, Gary Schottenstein. And that was one of the first things he said to me was, I started with nothing, told me a story, and he said, ask yourself this: I'm not interested in flipping properties. What benefit do I have to come in and build something in your community that's going to deteriorate the value? It's counterintuitive. And he was spot on. Pretty straightforward gentleman, and very been in the business a long time. There's other people, when you meet them, you feel like you have to take a bath, right? And Gary's not one of those persons. I don't think they're that way. They get straightforward. We asked for some specific things that were based on near proximity resident feedback. They've been open to that. Those types of things start to build a pattern and start to profile a developer as they're not coming in strong arming. They're willing to discuss, negotiate. That means they want to be a part of the community. They want to bring an investment in and be of value to them. And that's just my experience in 3.5 years. So I don't think, I'm not as concerned about that. They're not going to want aesthetically unpleasing trees and shrubs at the forefront of the entryway to establish their brand when a potential renter drives through and says, oh gosh, there's briars and honeysuckle everywhere. It'll probably look better on the street than it does today, or if they didn't build there. That'd be my guess. The traffic will change, obviously, and that's it. The reality right now is that the traffic here is the traffic here. Nothing we do or approve today is going to make it better. It may contribute to being more. And right now, this board is hyper-focused on infrastructure and getting caught up with what's done. And so when a good brand comes in with a good product and is willing to cooperate with us and make something of it, I struggle to push that away because, as you always say, the next person that comes in, they may meet the letter and build and not care. They might build. Let me put it like this: you talked about crime. I would argue that that's correlated more to different statistics than what style of house. And I've looked heavily into this, and you probably have too in your profession. But it's not a type of home or a product. It's more of the socioeconomics, or a massive part of that too. Rent prices, schools, all of these have correlation. If you look, correlation, causation, two different things. But let's just be honest, they're connected, right? The price they're committed to charging here, the type of home it is, just the cost of living in the area is going to insulate from people that want to come in just to cause trouble. People are going to invest in this to be a part of a community because there's no alternative right now. There's no homes for sale. And so that's my perspective. That's my opinion. If we say no and someone comes in that's a single family developer and they want to do 2 units per acre at $150,000 a home because they feel like it's not fair, the prices are expensive or whatever, and there's nothing you can do to stop them, right? Those types of situations, I think, could be problematic for the community more so than the product here today. It's just an opinion. But I would challenge you to look at the data, and it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of different factors involved, but it's a risk for us as board members to look at applications when they come in and pass and keep passing. When you have a good developer come in that wants to partner, build a good product, and working with the engineers, working on infrastructure to get that done, it tends to work out well. Just my experience.
Yes, and I also think the community that you build in and that you live in has a lot to do with crime. Like if you know your neighbors and there's more of a sense of community there, that helps a lot.
And they're going to know each other here because they can see each other cook, clean, take everything.
Very close.
Very
yes.
close. That was a joke, but not really. Okay.
Have some comments, Trustee?
I do.
Great.
I have my comment face
Great.
on.
Yes.
I had a question. So my big ask at the last meeting was that all the trees shown on the actual plan would be preserved. I mean, all of them, no exceptions. So I saw that you had placed some of it in the conservation or in the preservation zone. Yeah, I would like to request that all of the trees shown will be preserved including, and I know there's going to be some engineering and things, but I would like to ask that they all be preserved. I mean, all the way along the stream, up near the pond. I would like to see the entire ravine. I'd like to see everything. Is that something that you guys can do?
You already spoke to what I was going to reply with first, in that we still have final engineering to go through and working with the county on stormwater basins and things like that. So while I'm generally amenable to what you're asking, I can't define specific trees or areas right now. I don't know. We can figure out how to provide you some assurance that we're providing that, but I don't think we can specifically say every tree that's on that is going to be preserved, because again, it's somewhat nuanced with the approval.
Right.
Yeah. And
current-
Julie, you were.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry, Mike. The current development plan does include a tree preservation restriction, which references that they'll, use good faith effort to preserve all trees and replace any that are at least 3 caliber, and preserve where reasonably practical. Obviously, they may have to take some down, but there is a restriction.
But that's only on, I think, part of the plan.
Is it a 1-for-1 replacement type thing too?
We haven't defined it that way.
Okay.
No.
Is that just in the areas that are in those gray bubbles?
What's defined as a
That
tree
is correct.
preservation zone.
Yeah. See, it's just like up near the state lots, and then
So
along
you didn't
Lewis
speak
Center
to the
Road.
area
Yeah.
along the stream.
So the only question I had too with that still carried over from the last time was the state lots. That's the only part of the application I was still stuck on, because I really don't want to have it be a slippery slope application that
Yes.
starts as a good thing and ends as one
Yeah.
that's not so good. With more and more rezonings in time, and when my third bald spot's over here somewhere, and I'm looking back in time and like, oh, I proved that, and look what they did,
Well, that's why I would like to see. Is it possible
third
for?
bald spot?
No, I can already see it. Is that, Julie? Is that something we could craft some kind of language that they're going to? Because you can come in technically, and there's a buffer along the stream. You can clear cut that entire stream. People think a buffer means you can't clear cut it. You can they could come in and take all the trees down.
Here's what I think I could offer you tonight. It doesn't get all the way, but there is a required setback off of the stream that's there now. We could say that we are going to preserve all trees within that setback. We can't develop it anyways, but that's the only thing I could define right now.
I think it's only 25 feet, correct?
3.25 protection zone, the SC.
It's 25 or 50. It's not any higher than that, though.
But it is defined on our plans on the last slide.
Yeah, I saw. I measured it off, but it was 25. I don't think it included all of the trees.
No.
Is there anything you can offer? Because that was one of the big reasons I was in favor of this, is that all those trees will be preserved. I mean, and that it will be blocked from Lewis Center Road. Julie, is there anything that could be done that's somewhat flexible, but that gives them the flexibility? Because once final engineering is done, things could change, but.
So would it be, and just so I'm clear, the preservation area does not, the current preservation areas do not include trees that, how am I phrasing this? As it's currently defined in your development plan, it does not include all of the trees on the site plan currently.
Michelle, will you go to the site plan that has the gray hatching on it? Would be down. There it is. Right here.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. So
there are specifically defined tree preservation areas both along Lewis Center Road and the proposed Green Meadows Road.
But what about the other gray areas that are along the stream and on that southwest corner?
I see preservation area up north with the dash boundary.
And Lisa, would you, I guess what you're suggesting, are you suggesting basically all of those gray areas be designated tree preservation areas?
Yeah, and then I think Michelle had said that if you came in and the engineer did require something to be changed, that could be approved by the zoning office, as
long as we have that carve out that we'll provide a tree preservation area subject to final engineering, and we can work with staff to finalize that. That's fine with me.
Michelle, does that work?
Okay, so all the areas indicating gray will be tree preservation areas, but then once final engineering comes in, you'll be.
It could be slightly less.
Yeah, slightly modified, yeah. And I discussed it with her earlier, some small changes could be made, because, and is the driveway, is that location where the driveway into the estate lots, the CAD, is that going to be, is that where it's going to be located for sure, or is that just conceptual?
That's where we would expect it to. That's what I've discussed with the engineer.
What were we able to get to ensure that the 3 homes are going to be built there? You're not building them, right? You're going to sell those to developers?
Most likely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they will be built.
So there is
location?
there's within the development text, it defines what type of home, what size of home can be built there.
Okay.
So if that's part of your concern, I hope that's
They'll be
alleviated.
required to maintain all, or preserve all the trees.
And then from the tree standpoint, if you, and I heard you kind of touch on this, Julie, so maybe it's something you're familiar with. There's been applications before where if they had to remove a tree of a certain size, it was 3 in diameter or greater or whatever, right? So they did, remember the car wash?
Mm-hmm.
They went out and did a tree study.
Yeah.
So say that you have to run, my concern is, right, you come in, you run your sewer, the state lots need to have access to something they can't get from the road. So you go up and navigate through the property, potentially, whatever the case may be. You got to get a large piece of equipment up there. So now you're carving out a 20-foot wide road that's justified legally, but it completely destroys the intent of keeping the trees and that kind of thing, right? And now there's no expectation or responsibility or requirement to make it how it was. Is there a way that we can put in that, and it's a reasonable, I think it's reasonable, that if a tree of a certain size or greater has to be removed because of an engineering expectation or requirement, that it would be replaced in a feasible location on the property. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like with what kind of, with a 3-foot tree, or 3-foot,
An invasive pear?
Invasive, yeah. Like, I mean, obviously.
You want me to plant invasive pears, right? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
There's lots for free available, I guess.
That don't have pears on them?
Yeah.
Yes.
It might take us a second to think about what that commitment might be, but we can consider that while we're sitting here.
Take like a number 10 plant or whatever, right? And you say that it's $80 a pop or something like that, right? I think that would put a lot of angst for me personally, but I think for Trustee Knapp as well. That would eliminate the angst that remains with, well, we have tree preservation areas, however, we have to run a pipe. And,
too bad.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've been to 1,500 zoning meetings, I think.
No one
I've seen
intends
it.
to do it. It's just the nature of the beast, right? You got to run the thing, and they're not gonna go around it. They're gonna go through it.
Yes. And let's see. Do you have anything else? Okay, so you're willing to preserve the trees and some kind of language that trees will be replaced if they
That's what
need to
they're
be
thinking
taken
on.
down. And
I don't expect you to bring in a 72-inch oak tree that was rotting and you had to remove it. It's not what I'm saying. I think if you plant, it's just a request.
I mean, if you look at this plan right now, you can see all the additional trees we're already planning to do.
I understand.
So I'm not fundamentally concerned with what you're asking. It's more of the specifics. Like if we say a 3-inch tree, that's a lot of crap that could be fitting within that. And so I think
I'm not defining it. I'm
Okay.
just bringing it up as an example. So I'm not looking for I'm not prescribing what that answer is, because I'm not a developer and I don't do that every day.
Yeah.
And Julie does more than I do in a number of communities, and you obviously do too. You get multiple states, etc. But
is that something we can?
3-inch, I mean, that's going to be a lot of crap that you're not going to miss.
Is this something I'm sorry to keep cutting off, but is this something we can work with staff on, or do you want the commitment defining the language of this?
I would like a commitment to define that language.
Okay, a commitment to define.
I don't think that we don't have to solve it tonight.
Okay,
but I do want a commitment.
we're not solving it tonight.
Not for me personally. The commitment the commitment for them to replace,
If we vote on it though, it would have to be, and be committed to grant.
The commitments, sorry.
I said 3-inch tree, and so there was a hang up like, that's like shrubs, you know, or brush to qualify as a 3-inch tree. Things that you probably would want to remove.
A 3-inch like caliper?
Sapling. Yeah,
Caliper, but that's a big tree. Isn't a 3-inch tree, a caliper is that big?
No, I'm talking about like
Diameter or
I'm
caliper?
talking about like
That would be defined as diameter. Caliper would be diameter.
Oh, is,
yeah, that's small.
okay.
That's why I say 3-inch tree.
What is it across? Is across is not
Diameter.
caliper?
So I'm thinking more of like 8 to 10
Oh, there's diameter.
or above,
I think it's,
something significant. So
how many inches?
like 8 to 10, a bigger tree, you know.
That you want.
What about 6 inches? Is 6 inches?
You replaced.
Replaced
But
with something.
Well,
it doesn't have to be replaced.
this is kind of what I'm getting to. Like, there's a lot of details to be worked through with, like, okay, what's the size of the tree that if it gets cut down needs to be replaced, and then if it needs to get replaced with what caliber does it need to get replaced with.
And
So
that's why
typically you
If it's a 10-inch caliper tree that you have to take down, then I don't think you can plant a 10-inch
No.
caliper tree.
Uh-uh.
You can plant a tree
No.
that
Get
has a 5-inch
astronomically
caliper tree,
expensive.
right?
you would typically
It'll get
see like an
bigger.
1.5-inch caliber tree is what would be replaced if you
Would
were
you say
cut
3
an
inch?
1.5-inch caliber tree is what
Which
we
is
might
what,
see.
the 20-gallon or something?
What that's what I've seen in the past, but this
Maybe
is part
3
of what I
inches.
thought we might work with staff to
River birds
define
just grow
this.
really fast.
What about any
Yeah.
tree that's over 8 inches in caliber would be replaced with a 3-inch minimum?
I like to be comfortable with 2.
2?
Yeah, I guess I don't know how specific as far as enforcement goes with the caliber, but I think, you know, if the message is you want to replace, if one tree goes down, another tree comes up or is installed.
We just need to define the tree that
At a minimum
what
of,
that is,
like-
right?
Right.
Tree of substance.
The only reason I say 2 is because I asked Brett to let me know what the evergreens are that are on the Lewis Center. That is whatever the subdivision that is on the northwest corner of Lewis Center Road and South Old State.
Yes.
That has that.
Next to
it's a
Evans
3 to,
Farm.
right next to Evans Farm. 3-foot mound, and the trees are gorgeous
Huge,
and right. And so that development was approved at our level in 2006. So like 17 years ago, right? And those started out as 2-inch caliper trees.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
And that's perfect.
Mhm.
So that's where I get to 2. 2 in 17 years is a very big tree.
So
Yeah.
if we cut down 10
inches
inches or more, we replace with 2 inches.
I'm
That's
good
right.
with
Wait,
that.
what did you say? What
If
is
we
it?
cut down 10 inches or
I mean,
more, we
that's-
replace with
the
2
other
inches.
trees aren't gonna-
Is that
Because of certain density around there.
But even 8 inches
they're
is
not
a
going to
decent.
survive next to each other if they're that big anyway. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm fine with that.
How about 8 inches? 10 inches is
Not
pretty
buying your
big.
Stars here.
8 inches is
I think you'd be surprised how small that is for the tree. It's not that big.
really 8 inches. It's a cross. Diameter is that a cross? Yeah, but that's still not a
Okay.
small tree.
Could I have a comment?
Yeah.
Okay, so my concern is the tree preservation area on the east side of the area, and like Mr. Ball said, I went out and parked my car at the end of your roundabout. Know where y'all live now, and the trees are pretty much scrap in that. At least what you can see standing in. I was in line with where the sidewalk is at the roundabout right there. There's a lovely tree just to the south. That's real big, way more than 10-inch caliper, and it will have to come down because it's right in the line of the sidewalk. So that made me sad. But for the first chunk, and again, I did take a tape measure out and measure 100 feet in, but it is not amazing as far as the quality of the existing trees that are there. So what I was hoping that you could do, like you said, I think we talked about this. It's the entrance to your development, so you're going to want it to look nice. So I think you will have to do some sort of cleaning the scrub up and then planting some things that will look nice in that area. So I just wanted to confirm that that's
Supplement.
correct?
Okay, great. And we decided against a mound, is that correct?
Where?
Well, because since we're keeping existing trees, we cannot do a
They
mound.
need a
Okay.
giant buffer. Yeah, so
Right,
we don't need the
so we
mound.
don't need the mound.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's a nice cross.
That was
So,
my question.
so Michelle, could you bring up my graphic that I made? So I mentioned at the last meeting, so I've probably been to, 1,500 township meetings since 1998. Might be a world record, I think, but
1,573,
Yeah, right, thank you very
I
much.
can't pay it against.
It's too many. So what I've seen a lot of times during these zonings is that they will come in and the developer will come in and clear cut. They'll absolutely clear cut all the trees, and they can do that even when there's a stream preservation zone. The only requirement is that they don't build in that stream preservation zone. So a lot of people think that they won't cut the trees down, but they absolutely will. So I know this is not the most professional looking drawing.
I think it's fantastic.
It took all of Saturday night one night, but fun times. What else was I doing? So, I pretty much I put these. It should be 80 houses. I mean, it could be 79, could be 81. It's hard to count, but believe there are 80 houses there, and this is what could potentially something along these lines could be built. It could be clustered different. I tried to account for the floodplain, but this is this exact property with what potentially could be built if there were that many homes, if they could clear cut everything along the stream. And I did miss, there's one other stream that goes through right to the left of the existing house, but it could look like this. And I think this is very unattractive. There's other developments in our township, and they just look row houses. That's all they are. They clear cut. The developers take the cheapest way they can to develop it. They're all straight roads. I live in Green Meadows, High Meadows area, so I have nice curvy roads with some street trees. But overall, the newer developments are just farmland that's bulldozed and cheaply, and they plant sod and grass, and they do row houses. So to me, this development being clustered, and what we mean by clustered is not a bunch of houses in one spot with no green space. That's just plain super high density. Cluster means that all of the homes are clustered in one portion of the development, and there's green space on the rest. So someone mentioned cluster housing earlier, and that's kind of a misnomer. It doesn't just mean high density. And so this development is 2.98 acres. 2.98 units per the acre, and they've just simply clustered it down towards the south. So this is how it could look. Like I said, I don't find that to be attractive. And then could you put my second?
Oh, there's more.
There's more, of course. I've been busy. That might be hard to see. Okay, so this is, so you see the rendering on the bottom, and that is one of our developments. And I love the houses, and I love the people. It's a beautiful neighborhood. However, it's just houses. Like I said, it's all the houses here lately. It's just a bunch of houses in a row with some landscaping that sooner or later is going to grow to look nice, but it's just more of the same. And up above is how the property currently looks now. There's some trees there. There's some scrubby trees. There's some deciduous trees. But to me, I would prefer that entire section along Lewis Center Road is preserved, and that's how it would look. You know, the on the top renderings, the top photos. So I would prefer that over what it could be. On the bottom rendering. So even though they wouldn't quite look like that because it's not just a whole row, but that's clear cutting and planting houses. And I find that to be extremely unattractive. We have very few roads where the trees along the roads are preserved. They're all knocked down. I mean, I can't think of a development that has not just gone in and clear cut. So, so that I prefer the one at the top. And some people have made some comments about this adding to the traffic. And I know it's very frustrating. The traffic is absolutely horrible, especially on Lewis Center Road. But my argument is that compared with all of the other developments that are coming in, like Evans Farm, which has probably close to 3,000 homes and businesses total, that this is a drop in the bucket. We would be allowing about 40 extra homes versus what is permitted. And 40 homes compared to literally thousands of homes that remain to be built on Lewis Center Road, to me, it's a small drop in the bucket. If this was any higher, I would never have even considered approving it. If they come in with 150 or 300, I would have said no. In the beginning, I was very much against this, but once I did research the developer, I think they have a good reputation. I think they have a nice, unique product. I think this would be a place where a nice little community where people could live and enjoy it compared to the standard apartment or the standard single family that we have so many of. And I too do not want to see any more apartments in Orange Township after that monstrosity on Shanahan Road is built. And that was I was not elected when that was approved, so that I never would have wanted that. But
Overlay.
huh?
It was an overlay, it wasn't approved.
Yeah.
Process.
Right, but I didn't approve the overlay either. So, right, I never would have gone for that. So, so these are my arguments for it. Like I said, another developer could come in and request something different or more dense or more like that rendering I showed. So I've really changed my mind on this. They're going to have, I know, some 4-bedroom units, not a ton. There are going to be a lot of 2-bedroom units and 3-bedroom units, but I believe that the same or fewer number of children will be generated by this development. I don't think it's going to be any worse for the schools. They've really worked with us. I can't think of the last time someone has removed so many units from a plan. I mean, it was like, what, 40 or 30? It's a huge number of units. Normally they come back and say, well, we could take 5 off. So a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, and I do believe that this would be the best use here. And I understand people are frustrated by the potential of some rentals and the fact that they're clustered, but you will not be able to see this development the way you would be able to see a traditional single family. This should be, I think, hidden from view. I think it should look nicer. The traffic will go south on Green Meadows Drive as well. Once that is built, I really do feel that that's going to be built within the next year. And zoning is always a negotiation between the developer and the township. We don't do straight zoning here. So when someone comes with a plan, especially one that doesn't meet our requirements, it's our opportunity to get additional amenities for the residents. And for me, the additional amenities are the vegetation. They've also said that the sidewalk will lead into their neighborhood, and that other residents are free to, use those paths as well. So we don't know what's going to come down the road. A lot of times the developments, they've spent so much money marketing that they just want to get rid of the property and they'll sell it to anyone. So I think that is about, it's about all I have. Oh wait, and one other thing, the density, I actually took a look at a lot of the developments in our neighborhood, in our community. Many of the adjacent, like the Village of Lewis Center, they're about 1/10 of an acre, the lots there. I think in my neighborhood, they're about 6 units, 6 lots per acre. The person that came in earlier that was speaking, he lives on a 1/3 of an acre lot, which is pretty much what's being proposed here, 3 units to the acre. So overall in the township, it seems like we have an average of around 3 units per acre, maybe even higher. So even though our code says 2, most of them are not necessarily approved at the 2. So I do find that this also meets the spirit of our zone.
The one you showed a picture of, was
It was no, it was not. It was not. No, it's a different development.
0.22 is.
I think that's about mine. Yeah, I think mine's even 6 per acre. It's even worse. So I do think that this fits in. We like to say 2 units per acre, but I can't think the last time that the zoning commission actually recommended a development that had 2 units per acre. It just doesn't happen, and it's why we're going to be adjusting our zoning. But that was the last point I wanted to make.
Are you ready to make a decision?
So if depending on the direction the board is heading, it seems like there will be modifications if we go towards approval. So I can read the 2 modifications that I believe I captured everything. So the first one would be to modify Exhibit C, which is their conceptual landscape plan, to reflect all gray area will be classified as a tree preservation area. And this comes with the understanding the area or areas may be modified subject to engineering. And then the second one is if a tree of at least 10 caliper inches in diameter and located within a tree preservation area has to be removed, a tree of at least 2 caliper inches in diameter will be planted and replaced in a location within the tree preservation area.
Like 2 changes to the second point. The first one is that I've been doing some research on how trees are measured. caliber refers to how nursery trees are measured, and that's taken out at 12 inches above the ground. When you're taking down a tree, it's taken at what was referred to as DBH, or diameter at breast height. And so I want to make sure that this is right. So diameter at breast height is how we would define trees that are being taken down.
What is that? How many feet? I
And-
just don't say anything. So is that like, how many inches up is that?
My
Like
breast height is a little bit
a few feet?
Or if in question at 4.5 feet.
So
4.5 feet.
we can take a 5-minute recess and make sure we have the language correct,
Please.
and then go from there.
Please, yeah.
Okay,
So,
okay.
so I knew it was a height. I just want to know what it was. So 4.5 feet, because then the 10 to 8 type thing becomes more realistic. 8 inches and 4.5 feet is more like 10 at the base.
Okay.
So. Gonna take a recess.
Yes. Make a motion to.
It just, you're just declaring that we're gonna go into a 5-minute.
Okay, we're just gonna go into 5-minute recess.
Thanks.
There might be two.
Or 2.
Alright, we're back.
We are?
So, yes, so if, Erica, if we can come back from recess?
Yes.
Okay, can I reroute the modifications?
We're coming back from recess.
Okay, so just we wanted to make sure the language was correct. So if the board chooses to approve the application this evening, there are 2 modifications. The first is to modify Exhibit C, conceptual landscape plan to reflect all gray area will be classified as a tree preservation area. This comes with the understanding the area or areas may be modified subject to engineering. Number 2, if a tree of at least 10 caliber inches in diameter at breast height and located within a tree preservation area has to be removed, a tree of at least 2 caliber inches in diameter will be planted and replaced in a location within the development.
Breast height too.
Yeah.
Caliper.
No, caliper is.
You want it caliper.
Okay, so that's where you differentiate with your comment. Okay.
Nurseries. Down.
Oh, the
4 to
nursery.
5 grams.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's.
The mature tree is at 4.5.
So if the board's ready, I can hand you the resolution.
That would be.
Yeah.
Good with that.
You good?
Okay.
More than anything, for me, it's a commitment to
Michelle's laptop.
maintain the green space and the aesthetics that they've committed
Okay.
to.
What is the right number?
Probably
So I can
still
say,
no.
I can say that.
Yes,
So
I read the word.
So when we read the resolution for approval, it will sound like
No.
so the way the resolution reads, if we're going towards approval, it'll sound something it'll be to deny the recommendation of denial of the zoning commission. So those 2 negatives make a positive. So that's where you see the approval.
I said I would still vote no, because I knew that was coming.
I make a motion to approve resolution 23-95 to deny the recommendation of denial of the zoning commission as to zoning application ZON-22-10 of Black Opal Properties LLC for ALDEIA Single Family Planned Residential District SFPRD with additional modifications. I don't need to read these.
Second.
Trustee Faust.
Yes.
Trustee Knapp.
Yes.
Trustee Grumbles.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve resolution 23-96. Meeting adjourned.
Second.
Trustee Fouls,
Yes.
Trustee Knapp,
Yes,
Trustee Grumbles.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.